This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. All right, welcome back, Mountaineer fans, to another episode of Mountaineer Moment, a podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball. This is episode number 42 of Mountaineer Moment, a podcast that just started at the beginning of the football season. So as the calendar has turned to October, that's only a little over a month ago, and we're 42 episodes in at this point. Super thrilled, super pumped about that, and just how this podcast and the community and the audience is growing. So if you want to be part of this Mountaineer Moment movement, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening or watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Help us help you. And we'll keep you covered on all things you need to know related to the Mountaineer football and basketball programs. For this episode, episode number 42, we are continuing to take a look at this Mountaineer loss to the BYU Cougars. This is our third episode breaking down that action. The first one, the most detailed as far as that's concerned, giving a full picture of the whole game and what went wrong, maybe what we liked, what we saw, and that kind of thing. And then Khalil Wilkins had a whole episode previous to this one dedicated to him. So if you didn't check out that, you can check that one out, episode number 41. Khalil Wilkins talking about the good, the bad, the ugly from his performance in his first start as a Mountaineer QB. And this one, we're going to turn it over to the other side and talk about this West Virginia defense. And in this loss to BYU by a score of 38-24, I fully believe that Chase Wilson is correct in his post-game press conference, saying that too many explosive plays were given up, and that is what made the difference. I'll read that quote to you from Chase Wilson, the WVU linebacker, who had a pick and led the team in tackles against BYU. He said, if you limit a lot of the explosives, I think this is a different football game. A lot of the touchdowns came off of explosives. You cannot play great defense and give up a bunch of explosives. And so he's got a point, right? I think he's exactly right, because if you take away those plays, now again, I get that that's their offense, right? They were explosive in this one. But if you limit that, Mountaineers did some decent things. Forced some turnovers. BYU didn't punt until under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so that's a problem that's carried over from the previous 2 weeks. Inability to get off the field, and explosive plays, like, they just hurt you so much in this game. This BYU offense largely did what they wanted to do, and it's a third consecutive week where West Virginia's offense obviously has their struggles. We're all aware of that. But this is 3 weeks in a row to open up Big 12 play that the Mountaineer defense has struggled. And this one is unique in the sense that it really was. It was explosive plays that made the difference. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to tell you about that and the impact that these plays had on the game. So as a bit of a summary, but highlighting just the explosive plays that the BYU Cougars had in this one. And their intention was clear from the get-go, from the jump. They wanted to get the ball down the field vertically and challenge and test this Mountaineer secondary. I mean, Bear Bachmeier had like 249 yards, I think, passing at halftime for the true freshman. They wanted to get the ball down the field, and they managed to do just that. So West Virginia started the game on a 3-and-out. Shocker, right? We've seen that movie a few times. But the Cougars, when they got the ball, they quickly got into scoring position. A 47-yard pass from Bachmeier to Chase Roberts. Very first play of the game for them offensively. That drive obviously ended in a missed field goal, but again, that set the tone for what was to come. 47-yard pass on the opening play of the opening drive. All right. Later in the first quarter, Bear Bachmeier found Parker Kingston, who turned in a 3rd and 7 from their own 46 into a 54-yard touchdown pass for them. And so that was massive. That was massive. I believe that one gave them a 14-0 lead. And heading into the second quarter, Mountaineers did Pinned the Cougars back. This one was the explosive of all explosives. They pinned the Cougars back, setting up their offense on the 11-yard line. Mountaineers, again, already trailing at this point, and they wasted no time flipping the field. Bachmeier found Roberts again, this time for 85 yards. 85 yards, and again on the first play of the drive. They were aggressive. They found matchups that they liked and just exploited them all night long. So here we are, not even at the end of the half, and we have a 47-yard completion. We have a 54-yard completion. We have an 85-yard completion that set them up for L.J. Martin, the talented running back, who ran it in for a 3 or 4 yard touchdown run on the second play. So they went 89 yards in 2 plays. Not ideal. Still in the first half, in the second quarter, BYU came out after a really nice play from Fred Perry to set up the Mountaineers for a touchdown to cut the lead to 21-10. Brilliant play. I mean, that was incredible. It wasn't team defense. It was Fred Perry making a beautiful read on an option play that he just batted down and then dove on it and set the Mountaineers up at the 3-yard line for Dior Hubbard to run it in to cut the lead again to 21-10 with about 2 minutes left. And Bachmeier and BYU executed a really beautiful 2-minute drill to take a 28-10 lead into halftime. But even on that drive, there was a 35-yard completion and there was a 20-yard completion. So he found Parker Kingston again, 35 yards. Cody Hagan got in on the action with a 20-yard catch, and that set them up for another touchdown to take a 28-10 lead into half. I believe they scored to end the half with 19 seconds left. Then they got the ball coming out of halftime. And this drive that they had, 28-10, coming out of halftime, was not characterized by explosive plays, but it was just a punch in the gut to the Mountaineer offense and defense, everybody, coaching staff, fan base, all of us. They opened the third quarter with a 15-play, 8-minute drive. And on that drive, that included a fake field goal from like 53 yards where they faked it from like 4th and 5 or 6, and the kid ran it for the holder ran it for 11 yards, picked up a first down, and then they ended up making a real field goal. Didn't fake that one, 37-yard field goal for the Cougars to extend their lead even more out to 21-point lead, 31-10, and now the Mountaineers are getting their first possession of the second half with 6 minutes and 45 seconds or something left in the third quarter. So that wasn't an explosive drive, but it was painful. Just painful and long, and when you're trailing, you need to have the ball, you need to get points, and you can't get points if you don't got the ball. So really well executed end of first half drive from BYU and start of second half drive, even though it was just resulted in 3 points on that second half drive. It chewed up over half the third quarter, which was killer. And then BYU, so they're up to 31, and then their final score of the drive, I mean, they toned things back a little bit, obviously, in the second half. Bachmeier, again, he threw for like 249 in the first half, threw for 351 for the game, so just about 100 yards for him in the second half. But that fourth quarter, their final score in the fourth quarter came at the 8:50 mark, and on that drive, it was a 12-play, 75-yard drive. That featured gains of 21, 20, and 14 through the air, as well as a 13-yard scamper for Bear Bachmeier on a first down and 20. So just painful, right? You can see how that drive resulted in a 12-play, 75-yard drive. They had big, long plays to get first downs and move the ball down the field while also chewing some clock. And that was the story. So to recap, and there's some other double-digit yardage gains here, but a 47-yard pass, the first play of the game for them, a 54-yard touchdown pass, an 85-yard pass setting them up for a 4-yard touchdown run, a 35-yard pass completion, a 20-yard pass completion, a 21-yard pass completion, another 20-yard pass completion, a 14-yard pass completion on that drive as well, I forgot to mention, and then a 13-yard run by Bachmeier on that last scoring drive, that 12-play, 75-yard drive to give them 38 points on the evening. So, yeah, you could sit here and say, all right, well, if you didn't watch that game, you now know all you need to know about the game and what went wrong. It was the Mountaineers' inability to limit the BYU offense from getting these explosive plays. Time after time, they were moving the chains in a big way and converting, big plays. Again, you pin them back on their own 11 yards, you're not supposed to allow them to score in 2 plays, and you did. Thanks to an 85-yard pass. That was, kind of a routine play. Kid just came across the middle, like on a, I don't know what you would call it. It wasn't a slant, but a little deeper than that on an in route, and just took it, right? Burned Michael Coates, and the rest is history. But, this Mountaineer defense, who obviously coming into Big 12 play, they were a major talk that we were having was like this Mountaineer run defense, and look at them, they're like 12th in the country through non-conference play, and pass defense ain't too bad either. And you picked off Parker Navarro even in that loss against Ohio 3 times. I'm just thinking back now, picked off Eli Holstein, were able to get stops when you needed to against Pitt, and then it's been a complete flip from those days as we've entered Big 12 play with blowout loss to Kansas, blowout loss at home to Utah, and then a 38-24 loss that we're talking about here on the road in Provo against BYU. So that's the story in this one. Again, there will be more content coming your way as we have the bye week for the Mountaineers, hopefully a chance to get healthy and get right and figure some things out for this football team as you head into the second half of the season. We're not obviously not where you want to be at 2-4 and 0-3 in conference, but man, let's show some of that hard edge and come out and try and win some games, because this is not good. Will it be Khalil Wilkins starting at quarterback? Will it be Scotty Fox? I think it will be. I think it will be one of those guys. I don't see any reason for it not to be them. They didn't show anything against BYU, especially Wilkins with more playing time. He didn't show anything that would say, all right, well, that was a fun experiment. Let's not go back to that again. I'm not thinking like that, and I don't think Rodriguez is either. The only way to get better in game is to get playing time, and why not? For a 2-4 football team, go to a freshman who you think could be the future quarterback in this program. So we'll just have to wait and see and watch that shake out. But more content certainly coming through the bye week. Maybe talking about the Mountaineer basketball team and Coach Ross Hodge, as the season's just about a month away for the Mountaineer basketball team in this new era. So might be diving into that a little bit in the bye week for some fun there, talking about the basketball team for the first time here on Mountaineer Moment. Again, this is episode number 42. Please subscribe, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please interact. The email even is on the YouTube as you're watching. It says mountaineermoment@gmail.com, so please consider doing that, interacting with us, leaving comments in the comment section. And that's a wrap here on Mountaineer Moment. We will see you next time.